The steady rumble of a lone Harley cut through the evening rain on Main Street. The rider killed the engine, squinting through a rain-streaked visor at the glint of a fallen police badge on the curb. Boots hit wet pavement with a splash. In the sudden silence, radio static crackled from a patrol car crumpled against the median. She lay sprawled across the yellow line, dark hair matted with blood, uniform soaked. He knelt, gloved fingers finding a faint pulse at her throat. Alive. Barely. The street was empty. No skid marks, no backup lights, no witnesses. This was no accident. His thumb hovered over 911, then slid instead to a single pre-programmed number. "Hang on," he muttered to the unconscious woman. "Help's coming, just not the kind you'd expect." Minutes later, the thump of heavy rotor blades drowned the rain. A black helicopter descended fast, searchlight pinning the wreck in cold white. Tactical gear, not paramedic orange. Private, expensive, and fast. His phone buzzed once, message received. Then came the thunder, not from the sky this time, but rolling up the asphalt. Headlights pierced the mist, one after another, until 50 motorcycles formed a perfect steel ring around the fallen officer. Engines cut in unison. Boots hit pavement. No words, just a wall of leather and chrome shielding her from the world. The first biker shrugged off his cut, folded it gently, and slid it beneath her head like a pillow. "Hang in there, Bluebird," he whispered. Sirens finally wailed in the distance, real ambulances this time. The circle parted without a command, a living gate opening just wide enough. Paramedics rushed in. As they lifted her onto the stretcher, her eyes fluttered open for a single heartbeat and locked on the man above her. Recognition flashed, then darkness took her again. Morning light striped the tables of May's diner. Every TV showed the same cell phone footage. 50 bikers standing guard in the rain around a bleeding cop. "Never thought I'd see Hell's Angels playing Guardian Angel," Earl muttered over his hash browns. Across town, in a quiet garage, the man the news was calling a hero scrubbed dried blood from under his fingernails and ignored the buzzing phone. The sheriff walked in without knocking. "Come to arrest me." "Just trying to understand," Sheriff Cole said. "You could have kept writing, why stop?" The biker glanced at the looping footage on the small shop TV. Badge or no badge, she needed help, simple as that. "Nothing's ever that simple," the sheriff replied. "Maybe it should be." In her hospital room, Officer Grace Mitchell surfaced through pain and fog. Lieutenant Warren stood at her bedside, concern etched a little too perfectly on his face. "You were run off the road," he said carefully. "Do you remember anything?" "Bikers," she rasped. "So many, but one was there before the crash, following me." Warren's hand rested on her shoulder, gentle but firm. "Take it easy, you're safe." She was. Memory and doubt began to war inside her skull. Days later, discharged and still bandaged, Grace stepped from the hospital into mist. A lone Harley idled in the shadows of the parking lot. The rider cut the engine and stayed put, hands visible. "Just checking you're upright," he said. "You were tailing me that night," she accused, cane trembling in her grip. "I ride that route every night after closing the shop. Difference is, I didn't run you off the road." Her knees buckled slightly. He started forward, she flinched back. "Look at me," he said quietly. "If I wanted you dead, why call 50 witnesses to the resurrection?" Headlights swept the lot. A dark sedan with no plates eased out behind the Harley and followed it into the night. Grace watched them both disappear, a cold certainty settling in her gut. Someone was hunting the wrong person. That night, an unmarked envelope slid under her hospital door. Inside, a photo of her wrecked cruiser taken minutes after the crash, and 3 words scrawled in black marker. "Stay quiet." Across town, bright red paint still dripped from the garage door. "Pig lover." Neither of them slept much after that. They met at 2 a.m. in a near-empty diner, 2 steaming mugs between them like a truce line. "My dress uniform from that night is missing," Grace said, voice low. "Evidence gone." He slid a grainy still across the table. Black SUV, no plates, timestamp minutes before the crash. "Only camera that survived," he said, "and it wasn't police issue." She looked up, eyes wet. "I'm sorry I accused you." "Fear makes us blind," he answered. "You're seeing clear now, that's what matters." Cash hit the table. He was gone before she could say thank you. The deeper they dug, the uglier it got. Missing drug money, police tactical gear stashed in abandoned warehouses, radios that mysteriously failed when certain officers needed help. Then the warehouse raid went loud. Gunfire echoed across the river, tires screamed. A Harley slid out from under its rider and carved a furrow of sparks into the ditch. Grace arrived seconds later, gun drawn, radio useless. The black SUVs had already vanished. She found him half buried in mud and chrome, bleeding but breathing. "Photos are on the phone," he rasped. "Get them out." She dragged him to safety, bandaged him in the garage that smelled of oil and second chances, and kept watch while he finally slept. The evidence spread like wildfire through group chats and porch conversations. The town that had feared leather now feared the truth hidden under badges. On the steps of City Hall, Grace, still bruised, still limping, faced a sea of cameras and neighbors. Behind her, 50 bikes idled in perfect rows, engines thrumming like a heartbeat. She told them everything. Photos hit the screen. Cash, drugs, police gear, and Lieutenant Warren walking into that warehouse like he owned it. State police cuffs closed around Warren's wrists, while motorcycle engines growled approval. That night, someone torched the clubhouse. Flames swallowed 30 years of brotherhood in minutes. Grace arrived as the roof collapsed, heat blasting her face. She found the biker standing motionless in front of the inferno, fists clenched, watching his home die. "I'm sorry," she said, voice breaking. "This is because of me." He didn't answer. A burning beam crashed where he'd been standing. She yanked him clear. At dawn, they sat together on the curb among the ashes. "Everything we built, gone," he whispered. Grace took his soot-blackened hand. "What you built isn't in those walls. It's in the circle you made around a bleeding stranger. It's in the truth you refused to let die. They can burn brick. They can't burn that." He looked at her then, eyes red from smoke and grief and something like hope. "Then we rebuild," he said, "bigger for everyone." 1 year later. Main Street shimmered under red, white, and blue banners. Police cruisers rolled side by side with Harleys in the Unity ride. Children laughed and tossed flower petals at chrome and badges alike. Grace, no longer wearing the uniform, rode behind the man who'd once been her accuser and became her protector. She tightened her arms around his waist and felt the steady rhythm of the bike beneath them, the same rhythm that had once announced strangers and now announced family. That evening, a white envelope waited under her doormat. "Thank you for seeing the man, not the patch." She smiled through tears, knowing exactly who had left it. Across town, he hung his colors in the closet, not retired, just resting. For the first time in decades, the weight on his shoulders felt light. Early the next morning, in the new community center built from the ashes, children on training wheels wobbled down the street while patient bikers and off-duty cops ran alongside, steadying seats and cheering. A reporter asked the biker, "After everything, do you believe in angels?" He glanced across the lot at Grace, adjusting a little girl's helmet, then back at the reporter with a slow grin. "Every damn day," he said. "Some wear badges, some wear leather." The kids took off in a clatter of pedals and laughter, riding straight down the same stretch of Main Street where one rainy night, heaven and hell had traded places for good. Sometimes angels ride on 2 wheels. And sometimes, when the night is dark and the rain is cold, 50 engines are enough to light the way home.